cost. It's not just financial cost. Like I said previously, it's cost to women's mental health, cost to their physical health.
As men, there are a lot of things that we can handle. We are definitely strong enough to handle ourselves, to handle our families, to bring up and to pick up our friends and our relatives, to pick up our friends when they are down. That is definitely something that all men can do. And something else men can do is men can ignore all of these attempts that women make to try to involve themselves into our lives again once we've decided to just walk away from all of it. And a lot of men have decided to just completely forget it and walk away. How's it going? My name's Rat Boy. Let's get into it.
They tell you that being single at 30 is the scariest thing in the entire world. This is what it could look like for you. It could be a Friday evening and you are by yourself with your dog, he's out there, in a brand new city, watching the sunset go down with a hot cup of tea in your hand. No kids to worry about, no husband to worry about. Just you, your dog, your tea, and the sunset. That is what you have to fear, kids. If you're single by the time you're 30, that is what you have to fear. Life could look like this. I know it sounds horrible. They really have us out here believing that life without a man is somehow scary and horrible and not fucking beautiful. And while I would love a partnership someday that enhances my life on my own, it is absolutely magic.
Women.
And this is the universal cope that a lot of women will put into their brains, and they will also plant the seed into a lot of other women's brains that are possibly in their 20s that are looking for the instinctual nature for a woman to look for a provider, to look for a man to settle down with and to start a family. And these little seeds get planted in these women's brains, and then they decide, you know what, we're absolutely good, we're going to do our own thing, we are going to be the boss babes, get the jobs, and we are going to support ourselves. And men are going to be the last thing on our minds until the inevitable 30s hit and they realize that they're running out of time, and now they have to make videos about how much they don't need a man. That's really the only difference, is men do not have to make videos about how much they don't need a woman. I've never seen men cope in that way. There are plenty of men out there, absolutely, and they all do their own thing. They are all working on themselves, working on their assets, making sure that they are in a position to where they do not have to worry about being alone, because they will always have someone there for them. But these women, they realize that they are pretty much unwanted once they reach this age, and the only type of companionship they can find is in some sort of animal they have domesticated, whether it be a dog. In this situation, a lot of times these women, they will gravitate toward cats because they are very low maintenance. These women do not need any emotional labor tacked onto their lives. They can only do the bare minimum for a lot of them can only do the bare minimum in their life, which is why they cannot keep a man to begin with. Women that are even moderately attractive will have no problem finding a man. And then you have women like this who are probably giving up at this point because all of the men they have been conditioned into being attracted to do not want them, because these are relatively low on the totem pole when it comes to looks and personality. And these men are wanting something a lot better, a lot younger, something that will actually add value to their life and not just be a constant drain of resources for them. So these men will ignore these women and leave these women to wallow with their pets and have their lonely walks on the beach with their Long Island iced teas or whatever she's drinking. Now, I would never wish ill will on any of these people, obviously. I'm just living their life, absolutely. But when you choose to go online and when you choose to use your platform to tell other women how happy you are single and how you do not need a man except for maybe someday you'll need one, it is becoming very evident that you are desperately needing validation. I just hope you're not wanting to get that validation from anyone like me, because it's definitely not going to happen. You can stay alone. I don't care. Just leave me alone in the process.
Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done.
Having kids might not be the most rewarding thing that you ever do, though. We have to stop acting and telling women that the most rewarding thing that they can do is have a child. How unfair to minimize the capabilities of women, to tell them that the only thing rewarding that they can do is to bear a child. Maybe the most rewarding thing women can do would be to land their dream job. Maybe the most rewarding thing that they can do would be the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. Stop minimizing women's contributions to this world by telling them the most rewarding thing that they can do is to have a child. Also, it's not always rewarding for women. What about the women who have been raped, who have been forced to carry a baby that they don't want? That's not rewarding. Like I said in my previous video, the reward for having a child does not outweigh the cost of everything else that goes along with it. Not right now in this climate. And it's not just physical cost, it's not just financial cost. Like I said previously, it's cost to women's mental health, cost to their physical health. They lose nearly $300,000 over their lifetimes. If they are the sole caregivers, if they stay home and raise children, they lose $300,000 in lost pay, because that's how little caregiving is valued.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
I'm going to make a quick comment here and then we'll get back to this clip. But there is something very interesting that happens whenever this conversation gets brought up, is because these women, they say the word value, and they kind of way they associate value a lot of times with money, and they don't realize that once they hit a certain age, it doesn't really matter how much money you have in the bank or how many assets you own as a woman. You will always look back to those years when you could have a kid, when you could be a mom, and you will always wonder what if. A lot of women do this. That's why you see these videos on TikTok about these women who always wondered what it would have been like to get pregnant. And then you have these videos, which I have shown on this channel many times, where these women are in their 40s and they are actually still actively trying to get pregnant by random men online. So this isn't anything uncommon, and we have definitely seen this woman on this channel in the past. She has been on my channel a few times, and she does talk this rhetoric that having kids and being a mom and being a caregiver is going to be something that isn't necessarily valued in modern society. And she is absolutely right. Being a mother, being a traditional mom, traditional wife isn't necessarily valued today. It is something that really doesn't exist. A lot of different areas in the United States and in Canada and a lot of Western countries, it just does not exist anymore. So being a traditional mom, a traditional wife isn't really something that women are looking to do because of influencers out there showing them that, you know, they do all that stuff later. They can concentrate on their money, concentrate on being a boss babe and independent and yes, queen and everything else. But in reality, these same women will look several years and wonder why they didn't do something that could have been a little bit more fulfilling for them. They'll look back and realize that missed out on possibly doing something that fulfilled them for the rest of their life. And, you know, a very rare thing nowadays, especially for women to want to fulfill that traditional role, because in a lot of instances, these traditional women talk themselves out of it. And then they look at their timeline, they will look down the road, and they'll see that they really have nothing to look forward to in their life. We did touch on a video a few ago where a woman was completely alone in her late 40s and she really didn't know what to do. And these same women have those realizations. Whether they vocalize it online or not is irrelevant. They will still think about those early years and how they should have concentrated on possibly getting a family, finding a man, getting a husband, and, you know, it's possibly.
Oh shit, here we go again.
What society deems as rewarding in this life has got to change, especially when it comes to women. Women's sole purpose in this life no longer exists to simply be chalked up to bearing children. Stop telling women that. Women can change the world. They do not have to stay at home. They do not have to have children. It is not serving them right now to bear children. It is not rewarding them to bear children, especially in the United States. There is no reward for them in it. They're losing money. They're losing bodily autonomy. Their children, if they bear girls, will also lose bodily autonomy. It's not always a rewarding situation. And the sooner we stop telling women that bearing children is the most rewarding thing that they will do, the better off we're going to be. The more progress we're going to see women make. Get out of their way. Let them decide what's going to be the most rewarding thing that they will ever do.
And there you have it. You have women who are absolutely convinced that in their life they need to maximize the rewards in their life and make sure they do what is the most rewarding thing they can ever do. Unfortunately, they realize this way too late, is that having kids, being a mom, and potentially being that maternal figure in that is going to be a very rewarding thing for a majority of women. And it is something that they definitely miss out on, because once you reach a certain age, it is not feasible for you to do these things. Now, this woman is obviously in her 40s. She's the age of securing a man and having a family and having kids. So she is spouting off this rhetoric to add views and to add clicks to her social media. This is not uncommon for these women to do. These women talk other women out of marriages and out of relationships because they make money off of these types of women. If they're single, if they're still on TikTok, if they're scrolling, and if their eyes and if their engagement is on these women's pages, then they are going to continue to make money off of these women. Now, whether or not this advice is good, I cannot tell you that. But I can tell you that advice like this isn't a generalized advice. I wouldn't recommend anybody take any advice from someone on TikTok. It would be bad news. You need to make up your own mind when it comes to what you want in life. I think a lot of women now, they want to fulfill that traditional wife role, that traditional mother role, but are pressured by their friends and pressured by social media and these influencers to not do that. And they feel like they've missed out on a lot of stuff, which is why you see the epidemic of these 30 and 40-year-old used to be traditional mothers, traditional wives, and they are divorcing, taking their husbands for half of their shit, and then going back and getting on dating apps and then regretting every second of it. And it's so funny. Women have this sort of talking point where they say that they want to make sure that their life is as rewarding as possible, how they are getting and reaping all of the rewards they can out of their life. But whenever a man stands up and says, you know what, I don't see the benefit in getting married, I don't see the benefit in having a wife, and there is no reward for a man to do that, it is nothing but negative, and it is nothing but a liability when it comes to marrying and when it comes to having a wife. And these same women will call these men hypocrites. They will call these men dusty, and they will say that if they're not dating to marry, then there's no reason, there's no point for them to even be involved in a relationship. That can be very interesting, and that is just a little food for thought here, because a lot of men will not even waste their time with a woman if that woman does not even want to have kids. A lot of men will dump women whenever they realize that these women are not interested in having kids, and these same women will turn around in their late 30s and wonder why they haven't had any kids yet, and why no man wants to wife them up and have kids in their mid to late 40s. It just doesn't make any sense. But that is going to be the end of today's video. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a like, comment, and I will catch you guys later. Rat Boy out.